So a very good morning to all of you. My name is Vishav Sharma and I'll very quickly start with today's session. And first of all, I would like to thank everyone involved in arranging this session, Mr. Bashir and Mr. Sheraz. So thank you so much for organizing this session on EndNote. I know that today's session is on EndNote, the web version of EndNote, but I'll very quickly start with a very short presentation. In fact, it's just a couple of slides, not the entire presentation, which I would like to showcase. Well, EndNote is a reference management tool, right? And you can do a lot of things using EndNote. So you can accelerate your research with EndNote. You can do a lot of things. You can save time. You can do things like staying organized. You can collaborate easily, and you can get published. Now, all these features we will try and explore during today's session, and maybe whenever we have time, we can probably think of organizing another session where we can talk of other features which are not on the EndNote online version or the web version, but which are on the EndNote desktop version. But for today, I will just talk about the EndNote web. Okay, so you can power your research with a robust system you can count on. Basically, we're talking of managing hundreds of references. You can find full text. You can do all these things, right? Now, as we move forward, we start talking about the EndNote 20 version. So I will not talk about it. In fact, I will straight away jump into the demo, right? So I'm sure all of you have access to the Web of Science, and just to let you know that if you have access to Web of Science, then you would also have access to the EndNote online version, right? Now, what you're seeing right now is the home page of Web of Science, right? Now here, well, in fact, just wanted to inform you that with every Web of Science subscription, you get the EndNote online version absolutely free of cost, right? So there are two, see, EndNote, the reference management tool has two platforms, right? So I'll start right from the beginning. It has two platforms. We have the online version and the desktop version, all right? Online version is also called EndNote Web, all right? So it's just the same thing. And the desktop version is also referred to as the offline version, all right? So right now we are going to talk about the online version only, right? And how do you access the online version? Well, there are a couple of ways which I will show, but the easiest way is if you have access to Web of Science, then here right at the top you will see this ribbon, and within this ribbon, the last icon on the right hand side, the top right corner, you have these products, right? Click on the products, and EndNote, the reference management tool, is right here, right? And when you click this, EndNote will open. Now, before I move on to EndNote, I just want to highlight that here on the Web of Science platform, as you open up Web of Science from the IP of your institution, you should see two icons here, right? You should be able to see sign in and register. Somewhere here where you currently see my name, you would see the word register. Please register yourself. It is absolutely free of cost for institutions that are subscribing. And right, once you create once you register yourself and create your ID, please sign in, right? The only reason why I'm saying this is because when you go to EndNote, these products will get linked to one another, right? So remember, while you're registering yourself on Web of Science, please memorize your user ID and your password, right? Please remember that. And when you go to EndNote, just the way I'm going right now, it should open up your EndNote online account. Okay, here we are. This is the EndNote online version, right? And just wanted to highlight that here, you know, if I log out and if I try to sign in once again, you will be able to see the word register there again. Please register yourself on EndNote online also, but remember to use exactly the same user ID and password while registering on EndNote. This will mean that you are linking the two accounts together. You are linking Web of Science and EndNote together, right? And there are a lot of benefits which I will talk about a little later. Now, once your EndNote account is created, once your EndNote online account is created, this is the first screen you will see, right? We call it the Getting Started Guide, right? It's written right here, Getting Started Guide. Now, within this Getting Started Guide, you have three options. You have the Find option, you have the Store and Share, and then you can see this Create. So there are a lot of things that you can do within Find. Here you can do a couple of things in Store and Share, and then you can create a lot of things, right? We'll talk about each of these one by one, all right? And how did I get this Getting Started? I got it from here, Getting Started Guide. If you click this one more time, it disappears. You click it once again, it comes back, all right? Now, there are a couple of things that you should be doing before you start using EndNote Web, right? Now here, under the Getting Started Guide, right, you will see Create. Now, if you want to start using EndNote Web, please come under Create and you will see the first option, Cite Value Write Plugin. Click on the first option and you will see this, Cite Value Write Plugin, and you have two options, download Windows or download Macintosh. Now, it depends on the operating system of your computer. If you have a Windows operating system, please download Windows. If you have Mac, or if you have an Apple machine, then please download Macintosh, right? And we do not support Linux. All right. So now with this, once you have downloaded, depending on the operating system, once you have downloaded this plugin, please remember to restart your computer, right? You have to reboot your computer. This is very important because many a times people download this, they install it on their systems, but they come back to us and say that it's not working. The only reason it does not work is because every time you install something on your computer, it demands a reboot or a restart. So please make sure that you restart your computer once you have downloaded and installed these plugins, right? You have to download and install just one, like I said, depending on the operating system of your computer. Once this is done and once you have restarted, okay, you can come back on the home screen here, and now you're all set, you're ready to start. Now here, before we start, I would like to inform you about some of the terminologies that we use on EndNote, right? Now, whatever papers that you would see on Web of Science or on Google Scholar or on any other platform, if you're a researcher and if you're conducting some research, you may come across some papers, right? On any other platform, you might call them papers, but once they come into EndNote, we start calling them references. All right, so here we have all the references together, and these references are stored in something that we call as a library. Okay, so in my library I have 286 references. The number is written right here in the brackets. Okay, so this is how you look at the references. Once I click on this one more time, and all my references will be shown right here. So if spread across 29 pages like this, and all my references can be seen like this. Okay, all right. So if you are a new user of EndNote, the first thing you have to do is, because once you start using EndNote for the first time, for the very first time, right, all your entire library would be empty. There would be no references in your library. So the first thing that you have to do is to bring the references to your library. And how can you bring these references? You will have to go to, if you have access to Web of Science, then you can go to Web of Science and you can conduct any search. For example, you can do a search on, let's say, cell, and you can hit search and you'll get a couple of results, right? Now, whatever information that you like, for example, if I like this particular paper, right, on cell, I can just select this paper like this from Web of Science, and here we see the export option, right? So you go to the export option, you click on this, the first two options, look at the first two. We have EndNote Online and EndNote Desktop. Please click on EndNote Online. Okay, so let me click on EndNote Online for you. Once you do that, it will ask you, you have selected one result for export, that's okay. Or you can select all the records on the page. On the page would mean on the page of Web of Science. I'll just close this for a moment just to show you how the results are displayed on Web of Science. So this is the Web of Science page, and if you scroll to the bottom of the page, right, like this, you have an option of you can determine the page size from here. There are a couple of options. You can see 10 records on one page, or 25 or 50. I have chosen 50 as an option. All right, you can choose any of these, right? So what I mean to say is the records displayed on Web of Science basically is customizable, and you can decide how many records you want to display. All right, so when you go to export online again, so it says all records on page, which means the number of records displayed on Web of Science, or you can actually select this. This would mean you can export a total of 500 records at one time from Web of Science onto EndNote. All right, and right now it is selecting, by default it is selecting from the first to the 500th record. All right, so the first 500 records are getting selected automatically. Okay, let me go with the first option. I just want to export the single paper which I have selected. Okay, this was just to let you know that you cannot export more than 500 records at any given time. All right, and then the next option is you have to select the record content, which means there's a drop down here and you can select any one of these. Right now the option is author, title, source information. If I select this, only this information will get exported to my EndNote account. I can select any one of these: author, title, source, and abstract, and then full record with cited references, or you can even customize the content that you want to export. You can just click on edit like this, and you have all these options. All right, this is the author, title, source information, all these options. You can select any one of these, and you can select multiple options, and you can get on with your selection. For example, I can select affiliation here, I can select ISSN, and I can save my selections. And now it says custom selection 13, and then I can export, and let's export. Let's see what happens. It's done. The moment it is done, what you will see on Web of Science is that this particular icon starts appearing. It says EN, and when you take your mouse to this, it says this record is in your EndNote library. So this is just an indication that, hey, you have already exported this particular record from Web of Science onto EndNote. And how does this export happen? If you remember, I told you initially that your user ID and your password at the time of registering on Web of Science and on EndNote has to be exactly the same, right? So the same user ID and password means now my Web of Science and my EndNote accounts are linked to one another. All right, now this account is exported to EndNote. Let's quickly jump to EndNote. Earlier there were 286 records in my EndNote library. Okay, as you can already see, I have exported one more record in front of you. So now on the EndNote platform, I just have to refresh my screen. I just have to reload it like this. This should become 287. There you go. It is now 287, which means the one record which I exported is now in my EndNote library. Okay, so this is how you can actually bring references from Web of Science onto EndNote. You can conduct a search on Web of Science depending on the keywords and your area of interest. You can select the relevant papers and you can export them using the first option, EndNote Online. You can export them and you can bring those papers to your EndNote library. And this is how you can slowly create your EndNote library. Now I will very quickly show you how to do this for Google Scholar. Yeah, okay. So give me a minute. So Google Scholar. Now, right now I'm on Google Scholar. So I can conduct any search on Google Scholar. But remember, before you do that, please sign in to Google with your Gmail account. I've already done that. All right. So once you're signed in on Google, you can conduct any search on Google Scholar as well. Let me do the same search using the keyword cell. All right. Now, you will see a couple of options here. Okay. Suppose I like this particular paper. So I can bring it to my EndNote account, right? I can just click on these inverted commas and this particular option will open up. We have EndNote option right here. And if I click on EndNote, it will be a .enw file that gets downloaded on my system, and it will, once you click on that, it will take you to your EndNote account. So basically, once I click on this, and if I simply follow the, if I just click on the option which gets downloaded, this particular paper automatically gets added to my EndNote library. Okay. Now, here I would like to highlight something to you. Just give me a minute. Under settings, now this is what happens when you look at Google, right? Now what I can do is I can actually customize it so that I don't have to click on these inverted commas and then click on EndNote. I don't really want to get into that. I want this paper to directly go into my EndNote account. So what I can do is, if you're signed in on Google, just click on the left hand side, just click on these three horizontal bars like this and go into settings. Okay. And then here under Bibliography Manager, you will see this option under settings, Bibliography Manager. Right now it says don't show any citation import links. You can select this, the second option, and here it says bib text, but there's a drop down. You click on this and you will find EndNote as one of the options. All right. So if you click on EndNote and then you save it, then see what happens. Now you will start getting this option automatically. Import into EndNote for every paper. Do you see that? So now it becomes easy for you. Suppose I want this, so I can directly click on this and I can import it into my EndNote account. If I click on this like this, you will notice that a .enw file gets downloaded and it will go into my EndNote account. Okay. This is basically taking into my EndNote, the desktop account, but if you do not have a desktop, no worries, it will go into your EndNote online account as well. Okay, so back to Google. So this is how you take references from other platforms, right? I've shown you one option of getting references from Web of Science. The other option was to show you how to get references from another platform like Google Scholar, right? Let's jump back to our EndNote web account like this. Okay. Now, all right. So now this is my EndNote online account. As you can see, it is called a reference management tool. Now, once you have a sizable number of references, now there are a few things that you need to remember at all times, right? If you want, you can make a note of this. And what you need to remember is, for EndNote web account, you get 2 GB of free memory space on the cloud. All right. So please remember that you get only 2 GB of free memory space on the cloud. So you will have to be very careful that you do not have any duplicates in your account. right? There are chances that you may conduct a search on Web of Science, you come across a paper, you export it into EndNote, and then while searching on Google Scholar, you may come across the same paper and you may end up exporting the same paper onto EndNote, which means you're basically creating duplicates on EndNote, and you have to keep in mind that you have only 2 GB of free memory space, so you have to use it accordingly, right? So please try to avoid having duplicates. Okay, I'm getting a question. Let me just quickly have a look at the question. Just give me a minute. Okay. Okay. Well, Noodle says that can you show us how the reference goes who do not have a desktop, how it goes into the EndNote Online from Google Scholar? Well, actually, the settings are such that I have already, got EndNote Desktop. This is a default feature. If you have EndNote Desktop installed, then automatically it will go to your desktop. But if you do not have desktop, you see I will have to uninstall my EndNote Desktop, right, to make this happen. But I really cannot do that right now. But just to tell you, if you do not have a desktop, that's not a problem. It will still go into your online, right? Okay. So I encourage all of you to please keep posting questions in the chat. I will pick up your questions from the chat and I will answer. Okay. Now, once you have these references in your EndNote library, okay, remember that you have 2 GB of free memory space on the cloud. Okay, there are many researchers who have a lot of PDF full text papers stored on their laptops. All right. So what you can do is you even have an option of getting those references from your laptop onto your EndNote account. It's actually very easy. So you just go to your desktop like this. I hope all of you can see this, and you create a folder. So you right click and you create a new folder like this, and let me call this EndNote. Okay. Once this folder is created, you can put all the full text PDFs into this particular folder, right? So wherever you have full text PDFs stored on your system or even on your external memory devices like pen drives, like hard disks, please bring all the references and put them into this EndNote folder that you create on your system, right? You can give it any name. In my case, I've given it EndNote. All right. Now, once you have this folder created and it has, I'm just assume that this has a lot of PDF references inside it. Okay. I just need to jump onto my EndNote Online account like this, and then I can just go to collect and I can click on import references. Once you click on this, you can choose a file. Okay, and you can choose your desktop. Here it is. Here's my desktop, and if you remember, I had created the folder called EndNote. It's right here, and you can open this and you can proceed. Right now there are no references in my EndNote folder which I have created on my system, but this is just to give you an idea how this really works. Okay, once you select the relevant folder which has PDFs, you can select this, you can click on EndNote import, and you can even allocate it to one of the groups. Now I will talk about groups a little later, but here are a couple of groups. So this is something that you have to always remember. Under import option, you have to select EndNote import. Initially there will be nothing selected, so you have to go to favorites and you have to select your favorite. These are all arranged alphabetically. You have to look for EndNote import. Because it is alphabetically arranged, it becomes easier for you to look for EndNote import. Click on this, it's already there. Okay. Okay, so let me proceed. Okay, I've got another question, and from Noor, and the question is, can you show me how to edit the default arrangement in the citation style? Example, I want to make minor changes in one of the field in APA citation style, for example. Yes, I can show that. Let's just wait for it. I'll cover that in my session. Thank you. So what I was saying is, please select EndNote import, and then you can proceed, and all those references which you have saved on your system will come onto your EndNote library. Okay, so here I'm just telling you how to first of all create your library. Okay, before we start using the advanced features of EndNote, it is essential that all of us learn how to create the library in the first place. Now EndNote is called a reference management tool, right? Because EndNote is able to see who the author is, what year, what title, everything is arranged automatically. Okay, now once these references are arranged, you can create groups. These groups are nothing but folders. It's just that on EndNote we prefer to call them as groups. Okay, so these are a couple of groups which I have created on my own. You can create groups just like this. All right, and it's very easy to create groups. For example, if I want to select this particular paper, right, these two papers for example, if I want to add them to a particular group, I just go here to the drop down, add to group, and once I click on this, all the groups which are created here on the left hand side will be displayed in this drop down, right? These are the same groups which are seen on the left hand side right here. And just look at the last option, new group. If I want to create a new group, and if I want these two papers or these two references to be allocated to the new group, I just go here, and once you click on new group, it will ask you to name that group. I can give it any name of my choice, and then these two references will be allocated to that particular group. Okay, I hope that's clear. It's very easy. You can try it on your own. Now once this is done, once these groups are created, now why do we need these groups? Because researchers tend to work on many research topics at the same time. So you can create these different groups to organize your references more effectively. All right. And these numbers in brackets are the number of references which are allocated to these groups. For example, under hydraulics, if I click on hydraulics, see hydraulics, this is the name of the group, and there are currently 9 references within this group called hydraulics. Okay, and you have all these references accordingly. Okay, there's something called EndNote workshop which I had done earlier, and there are 3 references in the EndNote workshop group. Okay, so you can accordingly create groups, and you can allocate these references to those particular groups. Okay, let's move on. So now the next step is to write a citation and a reference. All right, that was also one of the questions which somebody had asked me. So let me quickly go there. All right. Okay. So for that, let's open up a blank Word file like this. Okay. Now here is a blank Word file. Now if you remember, I had asked you that you should, I had told you that you should download the EndNote plugin right at the beginning of the session, right? I hope you remember that, the Cite While You Write plugin. Now I have a Windows machine, and I have already downloaded and installed that plugin. Now once you open up Word, MS Word, you see this ribbon at the top. These are the usual options that you will find in Word, okay, right up to help. Now this option, EndNote 20, this is the option which will appear by default. This is the plugin which I had just installed on my system. All right, so this is the plugin that you will be using. Please do not use references. Okay, you have the option called references here also in Word. Please do not use that. Please use only the EndNote plugin. Now how to use this? First of all, let us quickly write a paper. So I'm going to quickly write a paper in front of you. Okay, so this is not the complete paper. These are just the first 2 paragraphs of the paper which I want to write. Okay, so this is what exactly we mean by cite while you write. That you start citing a paper even before it is completing. You're still writing the paper, but you start citing it simultaneously. So just assume that I am a researcher. You can ignore the text, by the way. Please ignore the text. But this was just to show you that I have written just 2 paragraphs, and now I can start using the citation feature on EndNote. So how do I do that? You can just write, once you have written these couple of paragraphs, the only rule that you need to remember is the position of your cursor. Right now the cursor is placed here, so the reference, the citation will automatically appear wherever it finds the cursor. So you have to place the cursor at the right position. Now, for example, I want that the citation should appear okay, here in the first line, right before the word powerful. Okay, so I've placed the cursor here like this, and now I can just go to EndNote, the plugin which I told you initially. Click on the plugin, and you can click on this magnifying glass, the insert citation option. Once you click here, you will see that there's a pop-up which comes in on your screen. This pop-up window has my EndNote library. Okay, in your case, even if you have a lot of references in your library, this screen will still be blank. And you know why it is blank? Because here you have to enter a keyword. In this case, I had a lot of papers on engine, so I've put in the keyword engine, and when you click on find, it will find all the papers which are related to the keyword of engine, and all these papers are displayed like this, right? I have a couple of other papers on virus as well. So I can write virus and click on find, and here we are. I have a couple of papers on virus. All right. The reason why we do this is because researchers tend to work on a lot of research areas at the same time. So you might want to look at only the relevant papers while doing this, right? So you have to type the relevant keyword and click on find, and from your own EndNote library, we will display the relevant papers. Okay. Now suppose I have the relevant papers in front of me using this keyword. Now let me just insert a citation in front of you. So you can click on this. Suppose I select this one, the third paper, and click on insert. And there you go. Now you should notice that the 2 things have happened right now. What are the 2 things? A citation has appeared right here, and the reference has automatically been typed for me. I did not type this. It happened on its own. Now EndNote is a very intelligent tool. We use a lot of AI in EndNote. So EndNote understands that my paper is ending after 2 paragraphs. All right. So what it does is it starts typing. It will leave a couple of blank spaces, and then it will start typing the reference. And here is the reference of this particular citation. Okay. Now I will show this to you one more time. Let me place my cursor here in the second paragraph, just before the word document. Here is the the cursor. Let me do this one more time. Click, and all the references are displayed. Now this time I'm going to insert multiple citations. So use the control key on your keyboard, and you can select multiple citations. So I've selected this, and I click on insert. See, it says 2 to 4, and then all your references are typed automatically. And now you can proceed, you can continue writing your own paper. Yeah, you can continue writing the paper from here, and you can, so by the time you complete your paper, you will realize that your bibliography is already created, because this is the space where you can keep typing. You can type your remaining paper, and once you are done, your paper is complete because it has the citations in place, it has all the references in place. Okay. All right, now let's come to the next step. The next step is changing the style. Now many journals, they require a particular style, right? So how to change to that particular style? Right now we are looking at the IEEE style. So this is the IEEE style which I have used. Okay, but many journals do not require the IEEE style. They may require a different style. So how do we choose that? It is a very simple process. It is as easy as changing the font of your paper. So how do you do that? Just go to the drop down and select the relevant style. Suppose I want to select the APA 6th. So here we go. This is APA 6th. So this is the citations and these are the references. Both these things change simultaneously. Okay, so the citation and it does not impact the basic font of your paper. All right, I can choose to any style. Vancouver, this is Vancouver, and then this is the Chicago style, and then this is back to the APA. Now these are a couple of styles only, right? As you can see, just about 7 or 8 different styles that you see on my screen right now. There could be a style which is not in this drop down, and if you're a new user, you will not see any of the styles in this drop down. So what do you do as a new user? You will still see this option called select another style. You can click on this and you will have this pop-up window and you will see this. So please have a look. 7119 styles. So we are displaying more than 7,000 different styles, and all these styles are arranged alphabetically. The only thing that you need to know is the name of the style, because all the styles have names and the names are displayed like this in alphabetical order. So as long as you know the name, you can find that particular style. So if I'm looking for APA 5th, let us say, so this is A. Let me go to AP, right? Okay, so here it is, the APA 5th, and you have a lot of versions of the APA 5th, right? And then we have the APA 6th and APA 7th and so on. So you can select any style of your choice, right? And you can click on OK. The moment you click on OK, it starts appearing in the drop down. I will not do this right now because I have already got the relevant styles for my case, but in your case you can actually select any style of your choice and it will start appearing in the drop down. Once it appears in the drop down, you can change to that particular style at any time. Okay, now having said that, let's look at the other option. I know that there are a couple of questions in the chat box. I will pick them up one by one, but first let me complete what I was trying to say. Once these styles are in place, and just assume that I have written my complete paper. Now after writing my paper, I realize that there is a mistake. I realize that suppose I want to remove citation number 3, and automatically I want to remove the reference number 3. So I want to remove this. This was a mistake, for example. So how can I do that? You can go to edit and manage citations. Click on edit and manage citations, and here you will see the citations. This is the first citation, and then 2 to 4, which means this is number 2, this is number 3, and this is number 4. I want to remove number 3. So this is number 3, right? I can actually go here and I can click on remove citation. So this is remove, and I can click on OK. The moment I do that, see, this has become 2 to 3. So what was earlier at number 4 has now come to number 3. So you can see that the numbering is also rearranged, right? 3 was removed, and after that the numbering is automatically arranged. Okay, and you can even edit from here. You can edit other things as well. For example, you want to edit something, you want to add a prefix. I think there was a question related to this. So if you want to add a prefix to something, or you can want to add a suffix, or you want to customize it, you can do it like this, right? So these are the minor changes. Of course, we'll talk about the major changes which you might want to do, but this is how you do it, right? And you can insert a citation, you can update it in your library, you can find reference updates. All these are pretty much self-explanatory. Please try and do this on your own, and if you have any problem you can reach out to us. But these are very easy to do features that you can use on EndNote. Okay, now that you've understood this, let's move on. Okay, time to look at a couple of questions. Okay, can I have two reference management tools? Again, a question from Noor. Well, yes, you can, but you will have to open up with different IDs, right? You have to sign up as a different user, right? So you'll have to give different credentials. But yes, you can have two IDs. It is possible. But then linking them with one another will be a challenge, because there is no means of linking two different libraries. And you're talking about Mendeley. Yes, Mendeley is another reference management tool, and if you want to, we call that migration. If you want to migrate your references from Mendeley to EndNote, yes, that is possible. There are a couple of videos on YouTube. You can go through that, and it'll teach you how to import the references from Mendeley onto EndNote. How about citation and change citation style? I've already discussed that. Well, actually, like I said initially, if you could just hear my session, most of the questions will be automatically answered. I have already spoken about changing styles, and this is within the EndNote online version, so you do not need EndNote desktop, right? And you can change the styles as I've already shown you. And this is not EndNote desktop, this is actually EndNote online. In fact, once you while we are talking about the styles, this is Word, right? This is neither online version nor the desktop version. This is the Microsoft Word file that I have opened up. And why Word? Because researchers tend to write their papers on Word. So you have to insert your citations and references within your Word file, right? Within your paper. And the papers are on Word. So here I have a Word file open in front of you. I have tried to write a paper, and I have inserted citations and references here on the Word file. All right, so please do not get confused. I see a lot of questions coming in. Very good. People talking about Manuscript Matcher. Yes, I will talk about that. Now, I hope people have understood how to insert citations and references. Please do not type these manually. I have come across many people who say that they like to type their references manually. Please do not do that, because it is a very complicated process, and there is a big possibility that you may go wrong somewhere. And if there's even a small mistake, like if you miss out on a particular comma or a full stop, your paper can get rejected. Please do not do that. Please do not type your citations or your references manually. Please use a tool like EndNote to do that for you, because if you use EndNote, you can be very sure that there will be no errors as far as the writing the citations and references is concerned, right? As long as you select the relevant style, there will be no mistake in writing those particular citations and references. Okay, let's get back to EndNote Online. Here it is. Now people are talking about Manuscript Matcher. It's an excellent feature, and since we're running short of time, I will quickly show you how to use the Manuscript Matcher. So here we have a lot of options for you. I would request all of you to please go through this, right? And there are a lot of things that you can do. Let's go to Match. You click on Match and see what happens. Find the best fit journals for your manuscript. What does it mean? It means that if you're a researcher who has written a paper and you're looking for a journal where to publish. Now this basically answers one of the biggest problems which young researchers face, that where to publish. So this is the answer to that question. Where should you publish? The only thing that you need to keep in mind is your paper should be complete in all respects, and that is why we call it a manuscript. So find the best fit journals for your manuscript. powered by Web of Science, which means, sorry, which simply means that whatever recommendations which EndNote is going to give you for journals, all those journals would already be indexed in the Web of Science code collection. So we are only going to give you suggestions from journals that are there in the Web of Science code collection. And how does it work? You simply have to enter your manuscript details, and I will show you how to do that. So you have to just enter your title and your abstract. Sorry. All right, so here we are. I have an example for you. So here is a paper which is not yet published. I'll just quickly pick it up and I will show it to you on EndNote. So I'm just copy pasting the title, and now I will copy paste the abstract. And here we are with the abstract. Now here is the paper's title and here is the complete abstract. Now what do I do? What is the next step? The next step is very simple. Just click on Find Journals. And it says 6 matches. What does it mean? It means that EndNote has found 6 journals which EndNote considers to be the most suitable for publishing my paper, for publishing my manuscript. Alright. Now this number will either be 10 or less than 10. Right? In this case, we are showing you only 6 options. Okay. So the first option is always expanded. You can minimize it like this. Sorry about that. Okay. So these are the 6 journals in front of you. And if you notice, one of them is open access. All right. So here are the journals, and you will see all the other options as well. Now, how to utilize this? It's very interesting how to use this feature. Now, it all depends on you, right? As a researcher, what do you want? I'll explain. Now, I'll pick up a couple of scenarios, couple of examples. Now, suppose I have a manuscript and I've entered it on EndNote and I've got these 6 journal matches. Now, as a researcher, suppose I want to publish my paper in a journal of very high quality. If that is my requirement, I should actually focus on impact factor and look for the one which has the highest impact factor. So we have 5.9, 3.2, 6.2, 6.8 and so on. So the highest one is 6.832, right? So this is the highest impact factor, hence my choice is stem cell research and therapy. I should submit my paper to this particular journal if I'm looking for a very high quality journal, because this particular journal has the highest impact factor. It has the best quality. All right. Let's consider another example. Suppose I am a researcher who wants to publish the paper in a journal which gets me more citations. If more citations is my objective, then I should look for an option which is open access. And guess what? The first one is an open access journal, right? Because this icon is displayed. So if I publish my paper in this particular journal, it is very likely that I will get a lot of citations simply because it is open access. All right. So my choice is International Journal of Molecular Sciences. So I can publish my paper in this particular journal. Now let's consider another example. Suppose I want to publish my paper in a journal so that my paper becomes more searchable, right? So if anybody types a keyword and if I want my paper to come up in one of the results, in the top results, then my objective should be higher match score, right? It makes your paper more searchable, right? So the match scores are given like this: good, and as you move down, it becomes fair. So the highest match score is there in this particular journal, the first one. Now, let's consider another example, especially for young researchers. If there's any young researcher who's listening to today's session, this is especially for you. Now, the thing is, young researchers, they want their papers to be published quickly. If they're writing a paper during their PhD and they want the paper to be published quickly, right? The option they should be looking for is similar article. So what does it mean? Well, what you notice here are numbers 0, 1, and in your case a couple of other numbers could also be displayed. Numbers like 2, 3, 5, a lot of numbers could be displayed here along with a couple of zeros. So what does this really mean? For example, here 1 is written. So what do we mean by this 1? It simply means, listen carefully, that there is one paper which is similar to my paper and it is already published in this particular journal. Similarly, there's one paper which is similar to my paper which is also published in this journal, right? And if you click on this, we can show you that one paper which is similar to your paper. It will take you to Web of Science and you can see that. So now, what does this mean? It simply means that the probability of your paper getting selected in this journal is slightly higher because there is another paper which is similar to yours and it is already selected and published in this journal, right? This is EndNote Web. People are saying, please go to EndNote Web. This is EndNote Web that we are talking about. It is not the desktop. In fact, I have not even touched my EndNote desktop. This is EndNote Web all along. Right? So please do not get confused. This is EndNote Web. All right. Okay. And this match feature is a part of Web. All right. So I was just trying to explain that for PhD scholars, this number is important. So higher the number of similar articles, more is the probability that your paper will get selected in that particular journal. But remember, it is just a probability. In the field of publishing, there is no guarantee. It is only probability. The probability is slightly higher wherever you see higher number of similar articles, the probability is slightly higher, right? So I would suggest go with the highest number of similar articles, right? Because that will have the highest probability of your paper getting selected. Okay? And that is exactly what the researchers want. Young researchers especially. Okay, so now that you've made up your mind, you can select only one journal of your choice. And remember, these journals which are displayed, all these 6 journals, they are not displayed according to any rank. So you can choose any one of these journals. I cannot say that the first journal is better than the second journal and the second is better than the third. All right. Okay, so you can select any journal of your choice depending on your requirement. If you want higher impact factor, then this is the journal. If you want higher similar articles, then one of these two. If you want higher citations, then go with open access. Higher searchability, go with the first one again. But you will not get all the features in one single journal. You will never come across a scenario where you will have high match score, high impact factor, open access and similar articles, all these in one single journal. You will never see that. So you will have to make compromises here and there, right? And that is the reason why we say that you have to understand, okay, the time is already up, so I will quickly wind up. So let's say if I've made up my mind to publish in this journal, you can scroll to the right and you can directly submit to this particular journal, right? So we have a direct submission option as well. Now, this simply means that we will take you to the place where your submission process will actually start. Like I said earlier, there is no guarantee that your paper will get published, but it is our job to make sure that you reach the right place. So this link will take you to the right journal and it will take you to the place where the submission process will start. After that, you are on your own, which means if the journal says that you have to register, you have to create a user ID, password, etc., please do that, right? And this step avoids any predatory journals. So if you click on this, you will never reach a predatory website and you are safe. And the other benefit is that all these journals that you see here in this list, they're all indexed on the Web of Science, which means if your paper happens to get selected, then your paper becomes visible on Web of Science once it is published in that journal. All right. So with that, I'll quickly wind up.